Many old people sit quietly in family gatherings. They are present, but not active. They listen more than they speak. They watch more than they join. To others, it can feel like distance. You may think, why don't they talk? Why do they stay so quiet? But inside, something deeper is happening. As people grow older, their relationship with social energy changes. Talking takes effort, listening takes less, and in gatherings, there is a lot happening at once. Multiple conversations, noise, movement. For an older mind, this becomes overwhelming, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, tiring way. So they choose stillness, not because they have nothing to say, but because speaking feels heavier than listening. There is also something about pace. Family gatherings move fast. People interrupt, switch topics, laugh quickly, respond instantly. Older people process slower. They take time to think, time to form words. By the time they are ready to speak, the conversation has already moved on, so they stay silent, not by choice, but because the rhythm does not match. There is also something about feeling out of place. Generations change, topics change, interests change, language even changes. So older people may feel, this is not my space anymore. Not rejected, but not fully included either. So they step back, quietly. There is also something about being careful. Older people often think before they speak. They do not want to interrupt. They do not want to say something irrelevant. They do not want to feel ignored. So they wait for the right moment. But that moment does not always come. So silence continues. There is also something about energy. Social interaction takes energy. Listening, responding, following conversations. Older people have limited energy, so they use it carefully. Instead of spreading it across many conversations, they conserve it. They stay present, but reserved. There is also something about observation. Older people often shift from being participants to observers. They watch family members, how they speak, how they behave, how life has changed. And in that observation, they feel something. Sometimes pride, sometimes distance, sometimes reflection. But they do not always express it. They just sit and take it in. There is also something about emotional distance, not because they don't care, but because connection has changed. They may not feel as close to younger generations, different experiences, different lifestyles. So instead of forcing connection, they stay quiet, comfortably distant. There is also something about repetition again. They may feel that what they say has already been said many times, or that others are not interested. So they choose not to repeat, and silence becomes easier. There is also something about respect. Older people often come from a time where speaking less in gatherings was seen as respectful, letting others talk, not dominating conversation. So this behavior stays, even when the social style has changed. There is also something deeper, a quiet feeling of fading presence. They are there, but not at the center anymore. The focus is on younger people, their lives, their stories, their energy. And this is natural, but it creates a subtle shift from being central to being peripheral. And that shift is often accepted quietly. There is also something about comfort in silence. Older people become more comfortable with quiet. They do not feel the need to fill every moment with words. Silence does not feel empty to them. It feels calm. So sitting quietly is not always a negative experience. Sometimes it is peaceful. If you look closely, this behavior is not about disconnection. It is about adjustment to energy, to pace, to changing roles, to different social environments. And maybe, instead of thinking, they are not involved, you can think, they are here, just in a different way. Because presence does not always mean participation. Sometimes, it simply means being there, quietly. As this continues, something even more subtle begins to appear. Older people don't just sit quietly. They often listen very deeply, not just to words, but to tone, to behavior, to small changes. They notice things others miss. a slight tension in someone's voice, a shift in how people interact, a difference in respect. Because after many years of life, their observation becomes sharper. So while others are busy talking, they are reading the room, understanding it in their own quiet way. There is also something about emotional filtering. Older people do not feel the need to respond to everything. When they were younger, they may have joined every discussion, shared opinions, argued, reacted, but now they choose what is worth responding to. And many things simply don't feel important enough, so they let them pass silently. This can look like disinterest, but often it is selectiveness. There is also something about feeling unheard in the past. Some older people have experienced moments where they tried to speak, but were interrupted, ignored, or not taken seriously. These moments stay, so over time, they reduce how much they speak, not because they have nothing to say, but because they are not sure it will be received, so they stay quiet, protecting themselves from that feeling again. There is also something about generational respect again. In some cases, older people feel that their role is to give space to the younger ones, to let them enjoy, to let them express. So they step back intentionally, not forced, but chosen. They become background support instead of foreground presence. There is also something about emotional overwhelm. Family gatherings can carry mixed emotions: joy, noise, memories, comparisons. Seeing everyone together can remind them of the past, people who are no longer there, times that have changed. This emotional mix can feel heavy, so instead of expressing it, they stay quiet, holding those feelings inside. There is also something about identity shift. They are no longer the ones organizing everything, not leading the conversation, not managing the gathering. So their role changes, and adjusting to that role takes time. Silence becomes part of that transition, a way of fitting into a new position. There is also something about being careful with opinions. Older people sometimes feel that their views may not match the current mindset, different values, different ways of thinking. So they hesitate. They don't want conflict. They don't want to feel out of place. So they keep their thoughts to themselves, even if they have strong opinions. There is also something about physical comfort. Sitting quietly is easier. Standing, moving, engaging constantly can feel tiring, so they conserve energy. And that physical stillness also becomes social stillness. There is also a quiet awareness of time. They have seen many gatherings, many conversations, many patterns repeat. So there is less urgency to speak in every moment. They know this moment will pass, another will come. So they observe more, react less. If you look deeper, this silence is not empty. It is full of observation, full of thought, full of emotion, just not expressed outwardly. And maybe, instead of trying to make them talk more, it helps to sit beside them, slow down, match their pace, because sometimes they are not silent because they don't want to speak. They are silent because no one has entered their space gently enough. There is something even deeper behind this quiet presence, something that is rarely visible from the outside. Sometimes, old people sit quietly because they feel like a visitor in their own family, not rejected, not unwanted, but no longer central. They watch conversations happen around them, plans being made, jokes being shared, and they realize life has moved forward without needing them the same way. This realization is not always painful, but it is real, so they adjust. They stop trying to lead the moment. They let others take that space, and they sit quietly, not because they are empty, but because they are stepping back. There is also something about emotional protection. When people talk a lot, they expose themselves, opinions, feelings, memories, and sometimes those things are not received well. So older people become careful. They choose silence over the risk of feeling misunderstood, because at this stage, they don't want unnecessary emotional strain. Peace becomes more important than expression. There is also something about being out of sync, not in a negative way, but in a real way. Different humor, different references, different ways of thinking. So even if they speak, they may feel like others don't fully connect. This creates a subtle distance, so instead of forcing connection, they stay quiet, comfortably, but slightly apart. There is also something about memory flow. In gatherings, many things can trigger memories. A song, a face, a place. And suddenly, their mind moves into the past, while everyone else is in the present. So physically, they are there, but mentally, they are somewhere else, revisiting something personal. And in that moment, they are not focused on speaking, they are feeling. There is also something about comparison. Older people may look at younger family members and compare silently their energy, their opportunities, their way of life. Sometimes this creates pride, sometimes a quiet reflection. What has changed? What has stayed? These thoughts do not always come out as words. They stay inside, and silence becomes their space to process them. There is also something about not wanting to interrupt joy. If the gathering is lively, they may feel, let them enjoy. They don't want to slow things down. They don't want to shift the mood, so they hold back, even if they have something to say, because preserving the moment feels more important than joining it. There is also something about emotional weight. Older people carry more memories, more experiences, more layers. So their thoughts are often heavier, not negative, just deeper. And in fast, light conversations, those deeper thoughts don't fit easily. So instead of forcing them in, they stay quiet. There is also something about acceptance. At some point, they accept a new role, not the center, but part of the background, not leading, but present. And this acceptance brings a kind of calm. They don't fight it, they settle into it, and silence becomes part of that state. There is also a quiet dignity in this. They don't demand attention, they don't push themselves forward. They simply exist in the moment, observing, feeling, being present in their own way. If you look closely, this silence is not absence. It is a different kind of presence, a softer one, a quieter one, but still meaningful. And maybe, instead of trying to bring them into the conversation quickly, it helps to go toward them, sit beside them, speak slowly, ask gently, because sometimes they are not outside the gathering. They are just waiting for someone to meet them at their pace. And in the final stage of this behavior, something very gentle becomes clear. Old people sitting quietly in family gatherings are not disconnected. They are holding everything quietly inside. At this point in life, they do not need to speak to feel present. They feel through observation, through memory, through small moments. A laugh across the room, a familiar voice, a child running past. These small things carry meaning for them, even if they never say it. There is also something about completeness. They have lived many gatherings before, many celebrations, many conversations, many versions of family. So now, they don't feel the need to add more. They are simply witnessing, letting the moment happen. There is also a quiet sense of gratitude, even if they don't express it. Being surrounded by family means something. It brings a soft feeling, not loud excitement, but calm appreciation. And that feeling does not always need words. There is also something about emotional depth. Older people often feel more, but express less. Not because they cannot express, but because they don't always need to. They understand emotions without explaining them, so their silence is often full of feeling, not empty. There is also a gentle awareness of time. They know moments like this do not last forever. People change, situations change, so they absorb the moment quietly, without interrupting it, almost like saving it inside themselves. There is also something about peace. After many years of life, noise loses its attraction. Debates feel unnecessary. Attention feels less important. Peace becomes the priority, and silence is one of the simplest forms of peace. There is also a quiet form of love here. They don't need to be the center to feel connected. Just being there, seeing their family together, is enough. That presence itself is their way of loving, without words, without display. There is also something about letting go. Not in a sad way, but in a natural way. Letting go of control. Letting go of being heard all the time. Letting go of needing to be involved in everything. And this creates space, a calm space, where they can simply exist. There is also a final emotional truth. Sometimes they are waiting, not for attention, but for a different kind of connection, a slower one, a quieter one, someone who sits beside them, speaks softly, looks at them directly, not across the room, but close, because large gatherings do not always give that, but a single person can. If you look at it deeply, this silence is not withdrawal, it is transformation. From active participation to quiet presence, from speaking to feeling, from being heard to simply being. And maybe, instead of seeing it as distance, you can see it as a different kind of closeness, a softer closeness, one that does not demand attention, but still holds connection. Because in the end, they are not sitting quietly because they have nothing to say. They are sitting quietly because they have already lived so much that not everything needs to be said anymore.